Good day. This 154th day, meaningful moments, 365 days. You know, I think about how often we all have heard stories or watched movies on science fiction and we think, wow, that's really way out there. It's really futuristic. And then here we are in this reality or our reality, and we suddenly experience exactly what we've seen in what we thought was too fantastical. The meaningful moment came yesterday when my husband and I had been out on a bike ride, and there was an experience that we had that made us both have obviously different perceptions. And when we came home and spoke about it, it was as if something that I said was a little bit of a hook and trigger, and something that he said was a little bit of hook and trigger. And you know, these things are so subtle, they're not necessarily always overt, but suddenly you feel yourself caught in this loop. And I think of it like a time loop, literally like something that happens, and all of a sudden we find ourselves kind of repeating that same track. And I've talked with people before and said, doesn't it seem to you sometimes like we're in some kind of a lab experiment, and we're one of these mice, laboratory mice, running inside of a maze and kind of keep hitting the wall, and we go a different way and hit the wall again and go a different way. And I don't know if there are benevolent beings, with higher intelligence looking down upon us, they must sometimes think that as humans we're a little bit dense sometimes because we just get caught in this loop. So the idea for me in that meaningful moment that I experienced was, well, wait a second, I'm aware that I'm caught in the loop, step one. And sometimes we know this on so many different levels, and then there's this thing that happens, like a force inside of us that seems uncontrollable to go and do that again, repeat that. That's the unconsciousness part that exists. But the good news is that we don't have to stay caught in that loop. We can actually experience those experiences by observing them and then being able to move forward. And out of that continuum, that loop, that's kind of like a time warp, right? It kind of like catches us. And if we can do that and hit the pause right there, we once again are experiencing that moment of stepping out of that time warp, stepping out of that loop. And we then can shift that energy and create a new space to move into. And that space is really, it could be physically, but it is more of the kind of space that we open up in our own mind. So the meaningful moment for me was that getting caught in the time loop, getting caught in that loop, whatever that might be, and it happens to all of us. So, that awareness that keeps building and strengthening, that I'm cultivating, that you are too, because inevitably we all are in different ways, especially once we feel like enough. That's the way us humans get that nudging and evolve. So appreciating that today, appreciating all the relationships that allow us to see that and to gain more clarity, and feeling thankful for that, because once we catch ourselves caught in that loop and we free ourselves from that loop, we can feel that energy that was doing this all of a sudden go whoosh, and once it expands out and is released out into that field of energy, we have a whole new vitality that we can feel surge through us. So There are a lot of different ways that people heal with this, and I'm just sharing with you in a really simple way. And I appreciate all those people doing that healing work, which is whether it's through NLP or different psychotherapies or different ways to work with your mind, mindful practices, whatever they may be. Cheers to them all for helping us get uncaught from the loop, helping us to be free. So for you today, my friends, sharing that meaningful moment for you and trusting that we're all breaking through those time warp barriers, every single one of them. Aho.